Hi Queens, Sam here. Welcome back to my channel, Black Women Build Wealth. As you can see today, I have another guest on the channel. Sémajuste will be joining us. She's a real estate investor. We actually met through Real Estate Investor Group. We belong to the Ottawa Real Estate Investor Facebook group, and I've asked her to come on the platform and share her journey as a real estate investor with you. So I'm very excited to have her. So Sarah, welcome to the platform. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you for saying yes. And so we are looking forward to getting to know you, getting to know how you got into real estate investment, how that has been going for you, your goals, your vision with your business. And so maybe to get started, would you mind sharing with the audience a little bit about yourself? You can share as much as little as you want, and essentially how you actually got started with real estate investment.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Sémajuste. I'm a real estate investor right here in Ottawa and also a land developer right here in Ottawa. I'm a mother of one 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old. And I'm formerly a speech language pathologist. So that's my trade, I guess. But I transitioned into real estate investing a few years back. And now that's pretty much, I stay at home and I work on my real estate investing business. I run a few short-term rentals. We have a few multifamilies. And we're also doing a couple of land development projects right here in Ottawa. And just about me, I just love sports, love reading, and just try to give back to the community as much as I can, which is one of the reasons why I said yes, because I hope that this conversation will bring some light and some courage to some Black women who are trying to get into real estate investing.
Great. And we are delighted that you actually said yes, because you just mentioned so many strategies that people actually use when it comes to real estate investing. Sometimes when we talk about real estate investing, people only have one way in mind, which is essentially buying the property and becoming a landlord. But you just mentioned short-term rentals, also owning some multifamilies, and also land development. So maybe we can start with the short-term rentals, which I'm assuming those will be Airbnbs. How did you get into it, and how has that been going for you right now?
Actually, short-term rental was my initial strategy into real estate investment. And I started back in maybe 2017, 2018, around there. It's always been an interest of mine. And at the time I was doing what's called short-term rental arbitrage, where you rent an apartment, you don't have to own it, and you essentially sublet it on short-term rental. And the most popular platforms are Airbnb, Airbnb, but there's other ones like BRRRR, and a couple of ones that are escaping right now. HomeAway is another one. So that's how I started. I essentially rented an apartment, and I let the landlords know that's what I wanted to do. We came to an agreement, and then I was basically profiting the difference between what I was paying him and what the short-term rental was making on a monthly basis. So that lasted a year approximately. Then I did it again with one of my condos that was a little bit shorter. And now that's a strategy that I'm revisiting as the expenses for some of my multifamilies have increased due to higher mortgage rates and et cetera. So I've actually shifted to a short-term rental to bringing more of a cash flow into my properties.
That is amazing. You just mentioned something that definitely I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know about, which is the short-term rent arbitrage. So people will think that they need to own the property before they can actually Airbnb it. Then you just mentioned you're renting the property, letting the landlord know, and you being able to actually sublet the property and literally covering a portion of your rent. So it's not only when you own the property, but even when you rent, if there is a possibility for you to actually sublease like portion of it, that's something that people can also consider. So I'm very glad that you actually mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, when you do this strategy, my opinion is that you're not 100% investing because you don't own the asset and you're not really benefiting from the increase. But it is a way to start managing properties, see what if that's something you want to get further into, so that you can eventually go and find strategies to purchase your own. But it is a good strategy to make extra income on a monthly basis. So anybody wants to know more about it, just reach out.
That's great. And you also mentioned land development. So what is that? And how did you get into land development?
Yeah, so land development, I got into it honestly through one of my contacts, through a friend now, and I was very interested in it. And at the time, we were doing multiple strategies. We were doing BRRRRs. I was doing BRRRR buy rent. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit another time. But we were buying multifamilies, and at that point, I realized that I wanted to focus on one thing in my real estate investing journey. And my husband and I, we run the business together, and we sat down and we decided that land development was the way we were gonna go and focus on, because that was something that was truly exciting to us. And also there was a lot of opportunities in Ottawa. And so essentially land development is taking a lot, whether it has a property on it or not, and developing it to changing maybe the zoning or changing what's called the permitted use in order to put a different use. So maybe more dwellings on the lot or something different. So it could be residential, you're converting to commercial, et cetera, et cetera. But you do have to, there's a process that you have to undertake with the city in order to get approvals for you to develop this land. So you're essentially using this land for something different that it is being used at the time, whether it's more dwellings or something completely different, but the city does have to approve this process.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And so in your own, your own journey so far, since you have started real estate investment, what are the challenges that you have encountered or still encountering, and how are you overcoming them?
Well, I mean, real estate investing, essentially, unless you want to stay small, you got to grow it as a business. And the challenge is exactly that, growing a business. So hiring the right people, so to complete the tasks that you that are maybe not so much worth your time anymore, and keeping those people to stay within your team. There's also the challenge of what's called raising capital, so finding money to fund your projects. So, there's a lot of networking, and there's just, your hand is in a lot of pots, right? You're doing a lot of things. You're raising capital, you're looking for deals, you're negotiating. So that's the challenge in itself, just really finding the right team to grow your business so that you can remove yourself from the day-to-day activities, so that you can really focus on the things that bring you a little bit more joy. And for me, it's actually the getting the permits for the land development, contacting the city and getting the architectural plans and things like that, rather than I don't know, looking for the deals. So I rather somebody else look for the deals, I paid them for that, and I just go through the process myself.
Okay, so now you just mentioned the importance to actually grow this as a business. What is the vision for your own real estate investment business at this point?
Honestly, the vision is outside of real estate. For me, real estate is really a strategy to gain financial freedom, so that eventually I can do much more and like I mentioned, give back. And my vision, honestly, as I mentioned, I'm a speech language pathologist, and my vision is to really give back to those families who are struggling to find services for speech language pathology, because the wait lists are really long. And if you have the means, yes, you can pay for private services, but oftentimes it's very expensive and some families can't afford it. So my vision is really not only to be able to give back, but also to spend my time doing other things with my family, travel, raise my child, and yeah, just doing the day-to-day things that really bring me joy rather than really being in the business. So for me, real estate is just really an avenue, even though I enjoy some parts of it, but eventually I would like to be removed from it where so I can spend my time doing other things.
Okay, that's great. And I actually love that you mentioned that because that's also another, I guess, like, misconception that people have and when they talk about real estate investment and that they're like, oh, I'm going to become a landlord and I'm going to be doing all of those things by myself. And they just don't realize that there is also a possibility to delegate. And the beauty of it is really being able, like you just mentioned, to find a team, like the proper person doing the right work. And so you can actually become removed to it. So free up your time, have things on autopilot so you can actually do what you really want to do, which might not be real estate investment for the long term. So it's a way to actually build that, like you just say, that financial freedom, which is going to be freeing, giving you more time, so then you can actually do.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I actually like that you mentioned that. And so as we know, real estate investment usually it's a male-dominated industry. And so how have you been navigating through all that? And I'm pretty sure probably land development is also even more male person in that in there than, like, I guess the other one, which is like owning a property. So how have you been navigating through all like the different the different
Yeah.
stages of it?
Well, it at the beginning, it was a little bit scarier because, as a Black woman, you're obviously a visible minority. So you think people look at you a certain way, but honestly, it's all about your mindset. As I became more confident, I just gained the confidence to know that I'm in the right place, right? And the more knowledge you acquire, the more confidence you have, and that little voice that tells you that you belong kind of diminishes, right? And the little voice that tells you that you don't belong, rather, diminishes, and that voice that tells you that there's your vision and there are your goals. You kind of look more at that rather than what you look like, and that's how I move forward. It's just about your mindset, knowing your stuff, really studying your craft when you're negotiating, practicing, getting some coaching, talking to people who know what they're doing, so that when you arrive in a situation where you are in front of a seller, for example, or the city, or anybody that architects and whatnot, then you know what you're talking about. So it's really acquiring that knowledge, which really gonna help you have the confidence to move forward no matter what you look like.
Mm-hmm. So I like that you mentioned, having the knowledge. At the same time, I just want to also caution people, you're not going to be knowing everything. So you need to take some chances, have like a base and definitely throw yourself out there. And I think, like you just say, just having the right people, being really surrounded by the right people, being in the right circle, people that are supportive of what you're doing, and like really like finding your community. I think that's what we have, even through the Ottawa Real Estate Investor Group. Like, it's a community where we go there, we ask questions, and probably someone else has done it. So it's really being able to find that community to support you, but don't stay in your corner and trying to learn everything before you actually go out there, because the chances are you're never going to be doing it.
Absolutely. And you learn a lot more by doing. Of course, you
Mhm.
want to have some kind of information before throwing yourself out there. But at the same time, you want to make sure that once you have a little bit of information, you know that you're going to gather more as you take action. So, yes, surround yourself with people who are doing it, read books, maybe take a course, just find the information that you need to know. But at one point, you're just going to have to jump in, because nobody's going to be able to teach you what you'll learn through your actions. And there's a lot of mistakes that you'll make and that you'll learn from that you won't be able to find in a book, right? So
Mhm.
at a certain point, I mentioned knowledge, but at the beginning, when I started with minimal knowledge, but I went into it, and I mean, I'm still alive, right? And I'm living to tell it. So it's about learning a little bit, but also taking the steps so that you can fail through your way through success.
Great. And so you did mention a few strategy for real estate investment that you have been doing. Which one would you say is the most profitable at this point?
Wow. I mean, any strategy could be very profitable. I can't say one is more than the other because I know a lot of people that have made a lot of money with every single strategy. Short-term rentals are something that can bring you, I guess, quicker cash flow because you
Mhm.
furnish and then you rent. Obviously, you need to know what you're doing and how to position yourself to have a profitable rental property. A lot of people flip properties. That's when you buy, renovate, and then sell. Land development also makes a lot of money if you know how to do it right and how to buy it right. But ultimately, in every strategy, is you're gonna make your money on the buy. So it's really the skill of negotiating to a price that will profit later on, and not just banking on the appreciation,
Mhm.
because the market, goes up and down. And right now we're kind of in a downfall of the market.
Yeah,
And if you purchase high and now you're trying to sell, it's not going to work. So definitely need to make sure that you're negotiating so that you buy at a price that in the future you'll be able to sell for a profit, or if it's something that you're holding, then it's along the way. But I think you can make a lot of money on every single strategy. You just have to know what you're doing.
exactly. And would you say, from your experience, it's better for someone who's new and getting into real estate investing to just focus on one strategy, and once they master that, to try other strategies? Like, what would be your advice here from your own experience?
Yeah, so in real estate, there's something that's called exit strategies. So sometimes um, you can go in thinking that you're going to exit a certain way, but you do need to have, plan A, plan B, plan C, and typically those are exit strategies. So for
Mhm.
example, you may buy a property and you may think, okay, I'm gonna sell it. That's one exit strategy. You're going to repair it and sell it. But if that doesn't work, if it doesn't sell, you have to tell yourself, what's plan B? Plan B might be to refinance. So that's
Mhm.
another strategy. That's called a BRRRR strategy. Plan C might be to just hold it for a longer period of time. Maybe a cash flow, maybe you put it on short-term rental. So I do think that you need to have sort of like multiple strategies in your pocket and know how to move forward with each of them, because they may
Mhm.
serve you in the end. So I don't think one strategy is necessarily one thing to focus on, because I think the more tools you have in your pocket, the more creative you can be in order
Mhm.
to make profit. So I would say learn about the different strategies that are out there so that you know how you're going to profit later on if one strategy doesn't work.
Okay, that's a great advice to have, like, more than one exit plans, which can help because you never know how things will go.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. So, as you know, we talk about Black women and wealth building on this channel. So, can you share some insight about money and wealth attainment when it comes to Black women? Maybe share some of your personal story. Why is it important for Black women to actually build wealth?
I think it's important for Black women and for everyone, but really is for the example that you set for your kids, for one, right? You want your child to know that there are other avenues than your 9 to 5. It's important to be financially independent, because the security of your job is not necessarily that secure, right? Look
Mhm.
what happened during COVID. A lot of people got laid off. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to sustain yourself financially if you're not able to get a 9 to 5, or if you don't want to go that route at all, right? So I
Mhm.
do think it's great to set that example for your kid, have that knowledge. And for me, it's just making sure that I provide the best example for my family, and more specifically for my children, because I want them to be a better version. I always want the next generation to be better than the previous one. And just to set that example, just for Black people in general, I think historically that hasn't been so much her focus because of her history. And just knowing that we now can, we don't have any more excuses. The resources are available to us just like anybody else. So it's almost like proving that we can do the same thing as our counterparts, right? So I feel like personally I have a duty to achieve, just to fulfill everything that I can fulfill, just to prove that I can as a Black woman, and that everybody else can. And also just not to rely on anyone, right? And you be able to do everything, all of the goals that you have in your mind, in your vision for yourself, they can be fulfilled. You just have to take that first step. So for me, it's just a personal duty that I feel that I have, to become the best version of myself for my kid and for my community.
That's great. And so, other than real estate investing, are there any other ways that you have been building wealth right now? Because I only know you as a real estate investor, but I don't know if you have, any other gig that you're doing right now to actually build wealth.
Well, I mean, I have my small mutual funds that I put a little bit on, on every month, but the bulk of my wealth is really through real estate. I've actually shifted a lot of I don't even know what they were, my mutual funds or my stocks into real estate in the last couple of years. But I do have a little bit left, just in case, I guess, you never know. But you do have to diversify, but at this time, I'm really focused on the real estate with having a little bit on the side with like mutual funds.
Okay, that's great. And so, any advice for the audience when it comes to real estate investing, when it comes to wealth building, or any other topic relevant to Black women that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think just like with any topic, it starts with your mindset. So I believe that no matter what field you tackle, what goals you're trying to achieve, you first have to believe that it's possible. Because maybe it happens to you as well. I get a lot of people reaching out to me and they want to know like steps A, B, C, D, how to become a real estate investor, how to become a land developer, Airbnb, whatever it may be. But I can give you as many strategies as you want and all the steps, but if you have doubt in your mind, you'll never achieve it. Some never even take the first step, right? So never mind the first step. Work on your mental, work on your mindset. Surround yourself with people that are doing something similar that you want to do, because they'll normalize that behavior. They'll normalize achieving those goals. You'll no longer look like the person that's like the outcast who's after work, they're looking for deals on the computer and spending all their time reading books, right? If you have friends that are not doing the same thing, they might not necessarily criticize you, but just find it odd, right? Yeah. And when you're surrounding yourself with people that are not doing the same thing, it's just natural for us to gravitate back towards what the group is doing, whatever that is, whether it's fitness, wealth, education, any field, right? So the first thing is to really make your behavior become normal. So in order to do that, you got to surround yourself with a group that's all doing it, right? If I'm part of a group, if I run marathons, I'm not just I want to hang out with people that are running, 40 kilometers 20 kilometers every day or whatever, they do, because then that's just normal. But if I hang around people that are doing 5 kilometers a day, they're like, Sarah, you're doing too much, take a break. But you don't want that. You want people to push you forward. So if I can have any advice for anyone trying to get into real estate, is look for Facebook group of real estate investors. Just find a mentor. Ask how you can help them, because you don't want to just take. You want to give back as well, and see how you can help them so that they can help you learn a few things, read books. But the main thing is really surround yourself with people who are doing the thing that you want to do. And I think in this day and age, there is no excuse why you can't find those people. There's no lack of resources. So really surround yourself with those people so that becomes a norm. and you'll see eventually you just be part of that group that are weird, looking for
Exactly.
deals, building wealth, developing land, doing short-term rental, because now that's just a normal behavior.
Yeah. And so let me ask you, because most of the time people, they realize that they may need a mentor to start something new. How do you find the right mentor for you? Because there are a lot out there, right? And at the same time, from my personal experience, I actually paid, 5 figures to someone to really teach me how to do assignment. And it was I won't say it was a failure. I learned a lot, but I wasn't able to assign a single deal. And I realized later on that maybe the personality of that, of that particular person and mine didn't really match that much. And so I guess from my own experience, and because you mentioned it, I think it's really important, as anyone is getting into a new industry or trying to do something new, to find the right person to coach them, to mentor them. How do you find the right mentor?
That's a really good question. And you're right. There's a lot of mentors out there, a lot of coaches, and they're selling their products, and nobody wants to miss out. So you're quick to, most people are quick to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna jump in and give my money. So if I can provide any advice, one person once told me, actually a mentor of mine once told me, don't get coaching from someone you wouldn't trade places with. In a sense that don't get coaching if the person doesn't have the same values as you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that as I progressed in my journey and as I had different coaches as well and different mentors, and I've had the best success, the most success when I had a mentor where I felt like our values aligned, right? Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
goals is to give back eventually. Maybe they're into healthy eating. Maybe they're into mindset. Maybe they're into fitness. Whatever it may be, whatever your values are, I think it's important that you have similar values, because along the way, if you don't see yourself um, in that person, you won't be really able to follow them, right? If their values are not aligned with you. So that's one tip that would really have for a person who's trying to find a coach. At the same time, I do understand that there's not a lot of time to get to know the person
That's true.
before
Mm-hmm.
actually getting coaching from them. So it's very important to learn through other people that are part of their program how, what have they liked? How do they deal when with people when there's like a disagreement, right? Because you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to always agree with your coach. And what is the energy in the group like? Are they available if you want to have a question and whatnot? So really try to gather as much information as you can through other people that have experienced that coach, and hopefully that will help you have some clarity and make a decision for yourself.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So, what does a day in the life of Sarah Semajus look like when you're actually focusing on your business? What,
Goodness.
you know, you did not see that one coming.
No, I don't even know what it looks like. Every day is different. So I mean, I'll I'll give you like a couple of different
Mm-hmm.
examples. So for example, today I'm at my desk all day. I woke up at 5 a.m. I'm setting up 2 short-term rentals. So I'm just creating a profile to put an Airbnb. I'm also gonna advertise it through another platform. So filling out the forms there. I also hired somebody to furnish my short-term rental. So I'm communicating with them, letting them know what's missing in the property, and kind of figuring out what is the timeline to launch the Airbnbs, the short-term rentals. So that's today. Another day might be being looking for deals, and so either on MLS or sometimes Kijiji, you're
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through and you're looking for properties that are for sale by owners, maybe, so you can find an off-market deal. Um, and the other portion of the day might look like a lot of calls, actually, a lot of Zoom calls or meetings with other investors who are interested in knowing more about your projects.
Mm-hmm.
They may have capital that they want to invest. And so I just meet with them, tell them about who I am, what the project is, and see if they're interested in investing. And other days is just a lot of delegating. A lot of days is into the business. So today I'm more in the business, and other days is just finding people who reaching out to people to grow my team. Like, do you know a certain person that would be good for this? Do you know a certain person that would be good for that? That's what it is in a nutshell. I mean, there's so much, right? But
Yeah.
I have to say that lately, that's what it's been. Just being at the computer, trying to set up things, delegating, and if not, just being on calls with investors.
Okay. That's great. And is it do you work like 7 days a week, or you manage to have some time to yourself and to the family?
Yeah, honestly, I'm with my son most of the day. Today I don't have him. But most days I actually don't work on real estate until um in the afternoon, maybe in the evening. So the bulk of my time is spent with him. I'm also I stay at home with him. I go out with him, make sure he's my priority, right?
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, that's when I sort of start my real estate. And on odd days, I get to really have a full day of real estate investing.
Great. And so you mentioned one of the challenge is being able to find people with capital, and another challenge is to find deals. So I guess my question is, when it comes to finding, investors with capital, like, do you have any particular way? Because a lot of people say, oh, money is everywhere, and some people will be like, no, right now, oh, there is no money, there is a shortage of money. I do believe that there is money out there, and there is actually, you just need to find a way to find those people who are willing to invest. So what are your strategies to actually find the right investors who want to invest with? Because they could have the money too, but not the mindset, not being aligned with you, and you actually don't want their money. So it's really, how do you find the right investor who actually have the cash to invest in your project?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple strategies, but ultimately it comes to networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for one, people have to know what you're doing. That's why I'm so active on social media, just portraying the projects that we have. For two, being part of a group and always talking about, your projects, what you're looking for. But ultimately, it's about relationship building. Just like you and I, we build a relationship, going on walks, attending events. There's a lot of real estate networking events. You meet new people, then you follow up with them. And one of the strategies is also offer your help, right? You never know who has, sometimes you don't even know somebody has money and they want to invest in your project until the time comes, but you're sort of building relationships and not yet knowing they will invest with you, right? So
Yeah.
you do have to sort of take that leap of faith and talk to a lot of people, and even if your immediate network doesn't necessarily have the capital, or people that doesn't necessarily have the capital at the time that you need it, because you've built relationship with a few people, they may
Mm-hmm.
help you find the capital. They may tell you, Sarah, I know somebody who's looking to invest in a project, maybe I'll connect you to, and then you can talk about your project. So building relationships is very important, being personable, and also just putting it out there that you are a real estate investor and that you are um, you do have deals, so that people don't think like, where did you come from, and you're just
Yeah.
a rock. People got to know what you're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, network and talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's great. And so you did mention, so I'm assuming most, if not all of your investment right now is in Ontario?
No,
Or
we have no. There's also in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. Okay. So it's actually the reason I mentioned that my previous guest, Evelyn, she invests in British Columbia and Alberta. And it's really, I think, it's something that maybe people should consider as well, especially in Canada, because from one province to the other, you have different rules. Some provinces are really, the housing market is really strong. Some provinces you can still find affordable affordable housing, I guess. So how did you, like, are there any other provinces that you actually, hoping to get into, or like, how did you decide to invest in Saskatchewan other than Ontario, essentially?
Yes, the Saskatchewan was one off because there was sort of a deal there, and there was a company kind of managing everything for us. So we decided to jump and in it and buy property there. But to tell the truth, now that we're focusing more on land development, we're really focused on Ontario, and we're specifically focusing on Ottawa because there's a lot of opportunity just there, just here. And I do believe that when you become the expert in your field, in your area, it's a lot easier to pinpoint deals, and you can do it a lot faster. So, some people, they may invest in different provinces, and that's perfect. And like I said, we have, but right now for us, we're really focusing on becoming the expert in land development in Ottawa because there's a lot of opportunities. And when you're laser focused, it allows me to really dedicate all my time towards one thing rather than a little bit here and a little bit there. So for us, it was just because of the opportunity and the growth that Ottawa is seeing, we decided to focus here. But it's definitely doable if you want to go in other provinces. You just have to really learn about the city, the area that you want to invest in, because you don't have boots on the ground, and you're also going to have to build a team that you trust, property managers, a realtor, to help you find a property and manage it from afar.
Exactly. Okay. And so one thing that I always ask my guests on the channel is about the wealth building superpower. So if I were to ask you, what is your wealth building superpower, what would you say?
My wealth building superpower.
So that could be something very specific to you that you felt like it really helped you throughout your journey of building wealth, through real estate investing. What do you think actually supported you the most, let's say?
Honestly, the only thing I can really think of is that I don't really have the ability to give up. Like it's not in my personality to do so. So for me, a challenge or an obstacle is just that. It's never a showstopper. And I know in the end, I have a goal that I'm gonna get there. So for me, my superpower is just to see through the challenges and just go through them. Like I will never give up. I would have to die first. That's just
That's amazing.
Maybe that's my superpower. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna die.
Exactly. Well, honestly, I think that's an amazing superpower because, as human being, the first, most of the people, the first challenge, like, they're trying to achieve something and they're seeing so many challenges, will tend to give up because you'll be like, maybe I'm wasting my time, maybe it's not for me. We'll tend to find excuses. But it seems like when you have your eyes on a goal, you just go straight to it, and any obstacle doesn't stop you. So I think that's just amazing because that really can help you just, even from the mindset perspective, just thinking from a positive, and be like, this is actually a learning for me. I'm just going to take it and continue on instead of having to stop. So I think it's a great superpower for sure. So there is, a Black woman watching this interview right now, super inspired by everything that you're sharing. And one thing that she just wants to do is to get in touch with you. What is the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, I think the easiest way is through my Instagram, and maybe you can drop it in the bio, but it's same page, one word, same page with Sarah and Leonard. And that's the easiest way to find me, or you can find me on Facebook, Sarah Sémajuste, and just reach out to me.
Great. I will add that to the description of this video. It will be also on the video once we're done with the editing. So honestly, I think this is great. I personally really enjoyed because I knew you from, doing certain strategies, and now you have gotten to other strategies, and I have to say that I'm pretty inspired by the whole land development because it's very new to me. I've heard of it, but it's not really something that I've really looked into it. But there is one thing that I'm taking away from this interview is like to actually, look deeper into it, especially that, I do live in Ottawa myself. So that could be something that I will probably connect with you on and to have more conversation. And so as we're ending this interview, is there anything else that really you would like to share with the audience that maybe I haven't touched on and you really want to make sure that people actually hear this from you?
For me, I think, like I mentioned, my vision is beyond real estate, and it's because I really have a burning desire to fulfill that vision for myself. I always kind of end my YouTube channel with my YouTube videos with "Live Your Truth," is because I truly believe in that. So if you're a person who, it doesn't have to be real estate, you want to start a business, you switch careers, you want to do something that a lot of people look at it and they're like, why would you do that? The only message that I can really give you is go for it. You only have one life. And when you look back, you don't want to have any regrets. So take the plunge. Most of the times you won't die, if anything, you may fail a few times, but nobody has succeeded their way through success. Everybody has failed their ways through success. So don't worry about it. Just go for it, and you'll be glad you did.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you having, you being on the channel here. I'm pretty sure a few people will be in touch once I share your information. And I will be interested also to have you back on the channel as you grow into land development, so for people to hear more about it. And I'm hoping, that someone is also listening here and is very interested as an investor and will also reach out to hopefully, help you also in your project. So I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And again, for those who are watching, if you have found this video of any value to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell, because this is just starting of me having amazing Black women, as guests on this channel, building wealth different ways. Of course, I started with real estate investment because that's one of my passion. But I'm hoping to get also Black women that are, have like different type of businesses or like building wealth with their equity portfolio or any other way, definitely to show how, the different ways of building wealth. So thank you again for watching, and until next time, keep on building wealth.
Thank you.